So this kid is about to hire a high school student as a hitman to unalive his own mom. This is crazy. Now his name's Danish. He's 17, he's a senior in high school, and he is a perfect student. He's on the honor roll, he's class president, he's the principal's student helper, he's smart, he's popular, all that. But Danish has a problem. His mom, who we'll just call Mom. Now Mom, she's very religious and therefore very strict. And while she works hard to make sure he has nice clothes, his own car, his own credit card, and pretty much whatever he wants, she also expects him to follow her rules. And she's an immigrant parent, so you know she pushes him hard to succeed. Like he has an 8 p.m. curfew, he's limited to how often he can see his friends outside of school, stuff like that. And while this may sound like somewhat normal parenting rules to us, to Danish, this is a dictatorship. And he can't live under this fascism. And so this really pisses him off. I mean, he's just trying to live his 17-year-old life and hang out with his friends. And so he starts to get bitter. He is sick of her trying to control him. And so one day, it all starts to go downhill. Because he goes and he tells his mom that he wants to apply to this internship to the Houston Police Department. Because I guess he's considering a career in law enforcement. And of course, Mom isn't happy about this idea. I mean, she wants him to go into medicine. Regardless, Danish applies for the police department internship and he gets an interview. But now, there's an issue. He's 17, so he needs his mom to sign the paperwork that gives him permission. So he brings her the paperwork, and of course, they start fighting about it. And it's a really big argument. Now, at some point, Danish has had enough, and he just snaps. And he decides to get rid of his controlling mother for good. And how's he gonna do that? Well, he's gonna hire a hitman. Here's the problem with that, though. He's in high school. He doesn't really know any hitmen. But he kinda knows this one guy from school who's in his Spanish class. And this guy's name is Noor. And Noor deals drugs, and he's in a gang, and he's a little bit shady. And Danish thinks, maybe Noor will do it. So Danish approaches Noor in Spanish class one day, and he's like, hey, would you unalive my mom for me? And Noor is like, nah, bro. But Danish keeps pressing him on it. He tells him that his mom is abusive and that she's not even his real mom and that she had his real parents assassinated, none of which is true. But most importantly, Danish offers Noor $5,000. So upon hearing this, Noor is like, alright. So then, fast forward to the day of the crime. It's morning. Danish and Noor, they're in school, but they leave early. And Danish drives them to his apartment. And he opens the trunk, and he gives Noor a pair of blue latex gloves and a knife. And shortly after, Noor is sneaking inside the apartment. And Mom is there. And I guess she doesn't see him because kaboom! He grabs her from behind, and he takes the knife, and he starts stabbing her over and over again. And there's a struggle, and Mom fights back, but Noor is stronger than her, and he ends up stabbing her 48 times until she's unalived. And during all that chaos, the knife had slipped and cut Noor's thumb pretty badly. Now that cut will become important later. So then Danish picks Noor up and he drives him to their other friend's house. And there, Danish calls 911 and he tells him that his friend Noor cut himself while carving a turkey. Because it's the week of Thanksgiving and no one is going to ask questions about him carving a turkey. So then Noor goes to the hospital and he gets stitches on that cut on his hand, while Danish leaves and he goes and takes some girl out on a first date. Like bro's mom just died and he's out here trying to smash. But anyway, he takes this date to the movies and then over to another town, and Danish ends up being out all night on this date, I guess. And then in the early morning, he finally goes home, where his mom's body is still laying there. And this is where he pretends to discover her there. And he pretends to be shocked. And he pretends to cry. And he calls 911.
You don't know what happened?
No, I just got in from Galveston. I just walked in this morning.
So pretty quickly, police arrive. And they investigate. And they notice a few things. One, there's no sign of forced entry. And two, there's someone's bloody handprint on the doorknob. And three, Danish doesn't have any of his mom's blood on him. Now this is apparently unusual because generally when people find the body of a loved one, they immediately panic and they try to touch them or shake them or hug them to see if they're still alive, and that tends to get blood on them. Clearly, Danish didn't do any of that with his mom, because he's the one who set up the murder. So police are suspicious of him, and they take him in and they question him. And they also notice something is a little off about his 911 call from that day. In his 911 call, he gave away his alibi without the operator even asking him.
You don't know what happened?
No, I just got it from Galveston.
Apparently, that's a very common thing that guilty people do. Like when a killer calls 911, they will often just vomit out their alibi without being asked. Like, it wasn't me, I was hanging out at Chuck E. Cheese the whole time. That's basically what he did. So police are looking at this dude like, yeah, you definitely had something to do with this. Regardless, police test the bloody handprint on the doorknob, and it's not a match for Danish. So they're still very suspicious of him. But with no evidence, they have to let him go. And he essentially gets away with having his own mother unalived. Until one day, police officers show up to the high school, and they find Nur. And they suddenly pull him out of class, and bam, they arrest him. But they arrest him on a drug charge, and the drug charge is completely unrelated to the murder. Police don't even know Nur is involved in any murder. They're arresting him for drugs, and he is panicking. He's sitting there thinking, oh shit, the police are here. They know what I did. They know that I'm the one who unalived Danish's mom. What am I gonna do? I'm probably gonna go to jail. Is there anyone who can help me out of this? But then he thinks back to his partner in crime, Danish. Maybe Danish can help him. So as the officers are escorting Nur out of the school, he yells back to his friends, Tell Danish to give me a call. Tell Danish I'm going to jail. Because Nur thinks this is about the murder. So now, police know he's somehow connected to Danish. So police bring him in, and they notice that for some weird reason, he's wearing one glove. So they ask him to take the glove off, and he does, and he's still got stitches on his hand from where he cut himself during the crime. And they ask him what happened, and Nur's like, I cut my thumb carving turkey. And police are like, sure you did, Nur. And from there, they connect the dots back to Mom's murder case. And so then they test Nur's DNA, and of course, his DNA is a match for the blood that they found on the doorknob. And from there, Nur doesn't even put up a fight. Like, he doesn't even try to bullshit. He immediately starts confessing, and he tells police everything. That Danish hired him as a hitman to unalive his mom, and that he promised to pay him $5,000. And so, bam, Danish gets arrested. Here's his mugshot. Also, here's Nur's mugshot. And Nur gets sentenced to 40 years in prison, while Danish gets sentenced to 50 years in prison. So, shout out to Houston, Texas, I guess.